Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the first ever Freelance Fridays. So this is going to be my new segment each week for the foreseeable future, where every Friday I sit down and talk about a topic related to freelancing. As you guys might know, I've been freelancing in my business now full time for just over 2 years, so about 2.5 years now. And I wanted to share some of my tips and pointers with you over the weeks and really help any of you that are struggling with starting a freelance business or struggling with getting work, and really talk about the tips associated with freelancing, because sometimes I find there's not a lot of information online, or sometimes there's not enough of what you need specifically for being a creative freelancer. And I want this kind of information to apply to more than just photographers as well. So if you're a graphic designer or you're a makeup artist, I hope that a lot of these tips may apply to you. So hopefully throughout the week, I'll be doing some more videos specific to photographers too. And I really want to talk about how to curate a portfolio and really starting from scratch on some tips of where you might be able to start as a freelancer. I also just want to mention before we get into the video today that I do run coaching sessions via Teachable now. So some of you guys might know, or some of you might not know, but I am running them through Teachable, and it is an extensive 8-week curriculum, individualized curriculum. So we look at everything that you're wanting to achieve with your business and where you want to go with it. And we're going to look at your dreams and goals and trying to hit some targets along the way. So if there are any of you out there that are looking at starting a freelance business but don't know where to start, maybe coaching sessions might be the right thing for you. There is a link down in the description box below if you are interested. So my first video today for this series is going to be making the leap into full-time freelancing. And I did recently do an Instagram live with Olivia Bossett on this topic. So if you haven't checked that out, you can go over to my Instagram and check out the conversation that we had about making that leap to full-time freelancing. And it is a very difficult transition period. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys and let you know that this is something that I went through several times. I thought that I was going to make the transition into a full-time fashion photographer, and that was going to be it. I would only have to do it once. And unfortunately, I actually tried it several times, and the first couple of times I sort of failed because I didn't have those right things in place. I didn't have any structure to my business. And to be quite honest, I just didn't know what I was doing. So I think I needed those experiences of rejection and failure to realize that I needed to have things in place to make things work a lot better for my business and to actually get consistent work. To talk briefly about my experience with making that leap into full-time freelancing, I had tried it a couple of times earlier on in my career, maybe around 2013, and then on maybe in 2015, 2016. And I thought that I'd worked my portfolio up to a point where I could get consistent income and it wasn't going to be an issue anymore, and I would just deal with it and make it happen. I even moved down to Melbourne in the hopes that if I moved to Melbourne and I was paying rent and I was out on my own essentially, that I would really force myself to get those paid jobs. Can I just say that that did not necessarily work for me the first time around? And I think that that's something that maybe a lot of people have in their heads. It's like, oh, maybe if I go out and pay rent, or I have big commitments that I need to pay for, then maybe I will be able to do it. I'll be able to find those jobs that you need. And some people will be able to do that. For me, it just didn't work the first couple of times that I tried that. So I always needed those casual part-time jobs on the side that really helped me support my business as I went along. This sort of time frame probably went over the course of maybe 8 to 10 years where I was doing that, and I was in and out of casual jobs. I worked so many different jobs, from a travel agent to retail. I even had a short stint as a retoucher, and that was kind of my entry point into freelancing full time, which I'll speak about in a minute. But I did genuinely need a lot of those jobs to, I guess, help me support my business along the way. And then I would sort of get in this cycle where I'd quit those jobs and sort of tell myself that I was going to be a full-time freelancer and I was just going to do it and make the leap. And I still didn't really have much behind me in terms of savings at those times or in terms of a structure for my business. And I truly believe that in the end, that's why on those occasions I did fail and I didn't succeed in kind of progressing with my business as I thought that I would. So one thing that I did talk about Olivia on our Instagram live recently was saving up a bit of money is always going to help. If you are thinking about making that leap into fashion photography full-time or into full-time freelancing, saving up money has got to be one of the most important tips I think that I can give you. This is something that I didn't do the first couple of times that I made the leap, and it really bit me in the end because I didn't have enough funds to sustain myself and I needed to get another job in the end. I think if you can really work hard and save maybe between 6 to 12 months worth of your expenses, so finding out how much you're spending each month and then really working hard to save that money so you can have something to live on while you are still figuring out your process for your business, while you're still figuring out how you're going to get that consistent income. I think it's always good to have a plan about that before you do make the leap too. So knowing where you can get a bit of consistent income from in your freelance business, and work on making those contacts, work on making those jobs happen before you've even made the leap. But definitely have an amount of savings that you can work off and that you can still invest in your business if you need to during that time of transitioning into a full-time freelancer. I think it's always important, if you're going to make that leap, to at least have a contact list or an amount of clients that you have worked with previously. If you're making the leap and you haven't had any clients before and you've never done a photography job, it is going to make it very hard if you've only got a short period of time to figure this out and to really start making money full-time. You are going to find it very difficult. And I think it's very important, if you've got contacts at least, or you've got some sort of client list behind you of jobs that you've already done, this is going to help the transition be a lot easier. I think it's also important to get your portfolio ready for when you do make the leap, and getting it ready to pitch to clients that you really want to work with. And maybe even start the pitching process before you decide to quit your job or before you decide to do this full time. So you can start reaching out and putting feelers out there into different fields, into different clients and brands that you could potentially work with. And hopefully down the track, when you have made the leap, then maybe they'll contact you, or you can kind of try again and pitch to them again at that point. I will say though, even though I'm talking about my experience with this, there is no clean-cut way to do this. There is no step-by-step way, and there's no right or wrong necessarily. There are lots of different things that have worked for a lot of different freelancers out there who are now doing this full-time, and it's important to do what you feel like is going to work best for you. I understand that feeling of being in a job that you are not happy in, or being in a job that you feel like you're just trying to get by. You want to do what you want to do, especially when it comes to something creative and photography related, because it is really something different every day, and making that leap is a very scary time, because I think for a lot of you, you may be doing full-time jobs, you may be in a very consistent field of income, and it might just be far too terrifying for you to even make that leap. I think though you will know when you've gotten to a point where your portfolio is ready and you do feel like your portfolio is at a point where you can pitch to clients easily enough, or you can reach out to different brands. And at some point you are going to have to make that leap if you do want to do this full time. As scary as it is, I think it's very rewarding once you have done it. And once your business does start to really earn you an income, it is so rewarding. There's really nothing better than doing something different every day. You're not stuck in that job that you didn't like. You can kind of look back on that time and go, wow, I've really come a long way. This isn't unfortunately something that does happen overnight though. It might take you months, years, decades even for some people. For me, it took me 10 years to really figure out how to do this and to find a structure that worked best for me. I think coming from someone who was more of an introvert, especially going back 10 years ago, I was very, very introverted, and I didn't like putting myself out there. I found it very difficult to do. I think that's why maybe it took me so long to kind of get into the motions of getting my business out there. I would give you guys any advice if you are introverted, if you're very shy, if you're very self-conscious about your work or yourself. I think the best advice I can give you is to just start somewhere, and to start little by little. Even if you're doing one thing every day towards your business, at least you can tell yourself, you know what, I have put a portion of my day into my business today, and you can feel good about that. And you don't have to jump into things head on. I know that a lot of people will recommend that you do that. And to be honest, there's been times where I've done that myself and it has worked. We've been speaking a lot about my experience with this, but there is no right or wrong way to do this. There are going to be numerous different paths you can take with your business and taking that leap into freelancing, and you have to do it when you feel comfortable to do so. I think my main advice though, as I said before, is getting that savings behind you before you do take the leap. I think that might have made my failures a lot softer back then when I did take the leap and it didn't work out for me. Knowing that I had that income behind me, it wouldn't have been as stressful a time for me to know that. I mean, it still would have been upsetting to see that maybe my business wasn't doing as well as I thought it was going to be, or I could get to that full-time point. But at least my finances would be in order and I didn't have to stress about that too much and getting another job at that point. It sort of buys you a little bit extra time in terms of getting your business ready and really reaching out to potential clients. I think the main thing as well though is when you do tend to make the leap into freelancing full-time, you have to be willing to put yourself out there. So if you feel like you're still at the point where you're very self-conscious about your work, you're self-conscious about yourself, it can be a very big struggle to make that leap at that point, because you really need to be willing to put yourself out there in terms of your work and taking constructive criticism at this point too. It's very hard to deal with rejection at times, but it's something that you do need to get used to as you become a full-time freelancer as well. As I said, I know I've spoken a lot about my experience today, but I really do want to hear from you guys in terms of where you're at with your freelancing or where you're at with your business. Are you guys about to take the leap into freelancing? And if so, do you have any problems or issues that you need to straighten out or you need to ask questions about? Because I would really love to answer some questions in the comments section below after this video is posted. I want to really talk about another point today, but I don't want to go too in depth with it because I know that I have before, and I know that I will probably touch on it again in different videos for Freelance Fridays in future. And that is going to be about income streams. So income streams is something that I talk a lot about on my channel, and I believe in them very much so for freelancers. And I think this can go for any type of freelancer. So if you are looking to make the leap into full-time freelancing, if you can get yourself several different income streams before you take that step, I think you're well on your way to being able to have a successful business. Because if one of those income streams suddenly goes down, like for example, a really good example that I like to use is this year with me and photo shoots. I was not able to do photo shoots during lockdown, and a lot of people haven't been able to this year. So if one of those income streams goes down and you've still got other income streams that are earning you money during that time, then you're going to be able to keep going with your business. And that's the main thing. You really need to be realistic about how your first couple of years are going to look. And maybe you won't be earning $100,000 or anything like that. Maybe you won't even be earning $30,000. But I think it's important to be realistic and to know that if you've got a few income streams that you can work off, that's going to bode well for you in your first couple of years of freelancing, and really have that soft cushioned landing if something does go wrong, if one of those other income streams goes down at any point. So as well, consider the type of clients that you might have already at this point. If you still have another full-time job or if you've got a part-time job on the side, consider the clients that you already do get from photography and whether you might be able to get consistent work with them, or whether you could pitch to a client that would give you consistent work. So I've talked a lot about e-commerce as well and how that can provide a consistent form of income for photographers and retouchers. So definitely look into those types of avenues if you are looking at taking the next step with your business and making that transition into full-time freelancing. Definitely look at different consistent streams of income that you can make on the side. And sometimes it doesn't have to always be photography related. Maybe you're able to do pet sitting or dog walking, or maybe you have another skill that you can use. Maybe you can do tutoring. And it's just being creative with different ways of income that you can make, so you don't necessarily have to give away your freelance business at any point or reduce it to maybe a day a week with a full-time job. So I will say good luck to you guys, and really if you do have any questions, please put them in the comments section below, because I would love to answer them and I'd love to start more of a conversation about full-time freelancing. And if you guys are having any struggles, feel free to ask questions. And as I said, if you haven't seen my Instagram live yet with Olivia, it has been posted to my Instagram under IGTV, so you can go and rewatch it there and see the conversation that we had from two different perspectives. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you click the subscribe button and the notification bell to make sure you see all the videos that I have coming up in future. And please leave your questions in the comment section below. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.